Hi folks, with Tacitus Today at your Pushback channel. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the propaganda that's constantly being pushed at us. And this is the entertainment industry, and it could be computer games, it could be movies, it could be TV programs on streaming services, the Netflixes and the major movie houses and franchises. It's just everywhere. And now what do I, and what do most people do, is as soon as I see the woke stuff, I just switch off. I want to be entertained by good script, a good plot, good overall sort of narrative, and good continuity, good direction, good acting. That's what I want. And if it's an interesting story, then that's great as well. But those are the things that I want. I want to be entertained by quality entertainment. That quality entertainment means a good script, good acting, and good directing, and so on. So when I don't see that, whether it has woke in it or not, by the way, but particularly when it has woke in it, I just switch off. Now, I think most sensible people do that. So I don't know what the brainwashing effect is, but I've noticed a few videos and conversations going around from like the World Economic Forum type folks and that sort of thing, that people should be restricted in what they can see and should be forced to see what the globalists want them to see, and only what the globalists want them to see. And of course, any ideological regime of government, whether it's the Soviet communists or the Chinese communists or Pol Pot's it doesn't matter, East European communism, they think and have this very strong belief that if they can keep you isolated from any freedom of thought, if they can keep you isolated from any alternative points of view, that if they just hammer the message over and over again over days, weeks, decades, and so on and so forth, that this will have a brainwashing effect on you. Now, when the Soviet Union collapsed after about 70 years of communism, where nearly the entire population knew nothing but communism, what was surprising to me is a little bit over 2/3 of the population, they knew that the whole communist message and narrative, that they knew nothing but that. They knew it was all bullshit, and it was all lies, and it was all based on trickery and deceit and terror and so on. And even though the people there were isolated from all other ideas and influences, it still, and over a 70-year period, it still didn't have the effect that the authorities thought it did, or hoped it did, or wanted it to. So that's always an interesting thing to come back to, that even when the authorities, the ideological fanatic authorities think that they're brainwashing, we won't let them see anything else or hear anything else good. We've really got their brains under control. In reality, they don't. Most of the people still know they're being oppressed and lied to and tricked and cheated. And the same goes with the propaganda today. Now, I'll go through a few examples, but I got a few emails about people saying, well, why do you not like woke propaganda? Are you Hitler? That type of thing. So I just wanted to go over this because I don't mind if, particularly, if there are potential woke issues in a program, provided it's not pushed at me and it's not used to morally lecture me, and it is genuinely part of the seamless flow of the narrative and the story and the direction and so on, rather than some inserted moral finger wagging that puts me off. So here's a streaming service I use, and it's part of the series. I think there are 10 episodes in the series. And the first episode, it's all straight white males. It's to do with the secret services and all that sort of stuff, and secret agents and the like. And so there's all straight white males, and the acting and directing is actually, there was one, looks like a half Asian dude, but there was one, or pretty much the whole scene, the whole program, I think it went for like the first episode, say 40 minutes, give or take. And I thought it was quite well done. There were a couple of big name actors in it, and the whole thing looked, genuine and plausible, and there was good kind. It slowed a little bit in a couple of places, but otherwise it was quite good. So I thought, well, gee, this is all right. Now, was it okay just because there were straight white males in it, or only straight white? Well, no. Everything presented was plausible. You could believe that it had a believability about it. And again, the acting was pretty good. The script was decent, and the directing for the most part was good, other than a couple of slow spots. But then the second episode came along, and things quickly changed. Now, why did they wait until the second episode? Why does all the promotional stuff only have straight white males in the on the front, the front page, on the graphics and so on? Why is that? So they lead me to believe it's a program about straight white males, and there's no woke propaganda in it, and that sort of stuff. So I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking, well, gee, this could be a good show. I want to watch this. And the second episode comes up, and wouldn't you know it, they've inserted two girl bosses into the thing. They're both very morally superior to the men, and give the men lots of lectures and put the men in their place, and all this, very heavy sort of feminist type messaging there. Both of them are non-white, and one is the violent oppressor husband, and he's a Nazi, and he's been radicalized, and heavy political feminist messaging there. The other girl boss is even a darker shade of brown, and she morally lectures the men around her. And she's young, she's younger than any of them, but she knows way better than they do, and she puts them in their place and just lets them know how fucking hopeless they are. So, and then male characters are introduced. So a brown guy is now, he's supposed to be the expert in something or other, and so pretty much all the white people have been replaced or superseded, maybe is a better thing, a better way of describing it. So now I just knew, without even needing to look at the third episode, without even needing to look at it, I knew that they would bring LGBTQ and trans issues into the third episode. I didn't need to look at it. I just knew that's the sequence of how they drip feed the propaganda into the series. And so where they turn what could have been a good bit of entertainment into a moral lecturing. Now, I don't know whether they looked at the things. I mean, there had to be the intention to deceive. We've got to get straight white people to look at this, to watch this, because once we've got their attention, we can brainwash them. We can get them out of this Nazi ideology. We can get them to stop waving swastikas non-stop. We can get, and so this idea that they've got to get the Nazis, and where are these Nazis? What Nazis? Where are they? But the brainwashing is apparent. So what we'll do is we'll deceive the audience. We'll get those evil white fascist, straight white male Christian Nazis watching the program, and then we'll hit them with the propaganda. Now, the trouble is, by the second episode, when they were inserting the propaganda, it became quite obvious that they were taking the narrative as it was and then choosing points to insert the propaganda. Okay, let's have the black woman here, and she's going to give the evil white boys a big lecture about slavery and oppression and this and that and Jim Crow and so on, and da-da-da-da-da-da. So the big lecture, white people evil and bad, black people morally superior and good. And so, okay, we got that. Then we've got the oppressed woman. It's so violent men, violent, evil, oppressive men. Okay, box ticked. Now we've got the woman in the office that isn't treated seriously enough. So let's turn her into the moral superior and so she's got to lecture all the men on her back. Okay, box ticked. And it was done like that. It was quite clearly done like that. They went on their list of issues. okay, we have to tick. It's like an affirmative action checklist. Well, it is affirmative action checklist. And so they inserted these people in, these characters. Now, at this point, I did turn off. So other than staying on for a little bit longer just to see how bad it would get, I turned straight away. They lost me. I'm not watching. I'm not going to be morally lectured by fucking idiots like you. I'm just not going to. So, but what if they'd had these people in there who were simply part of the story? There was the dark-skinned woman is simply an employee in the office. She's not morally lecturing. She's not wagging a finger and talking about slavery or this or that or some bullshit World Economic Forum talking point or anything. She's just an employee in the office doing her job like everyone else. Then I wouldn't have minded. Now, I may think, well, gee, I don't think something like that would have a job in a place like that. To try and make her out as the big genius of the office as well. Don't do that. You're just trying to flip script. You're not being realistic here. Just make her an employee in the office, just that. And she works and does her job just as anyone else does it. Then I wouldn't mind. Again, I may privately think, I don't think someone like that will get a job. But that doesn't matter. If they keep it seamless like that, they can still get away with it. They can't help themselves but doing the guilting and the shaming and the moral lecturing, which is obviously this is a propaganda delivery system. If it wasn't before they got their hands on it, it certainly is now. With the dark-skinned guys that are going in there, again, it doesn't fit. But if they stop the guy from complaining about white people and making political speeches, which you wouldn't get that in that sort of employment. But if they stop that and he just happens to be a brown guy, just happens to be, he's doing his job and doing it well. He's not morally superior to all the white people. He's not lecturing them on their evilness or something, and he's just an employee. Again, they could get away with it. It's something that would just pass. And if they could treat people just as other people, which they purport is the purpose of this, then it wouldn't really have any effect, as in a negative effect on viewers such as me, and I wouldn't switch off. So by the third episode, again, I just knew they were going to do the LGBTQ. So straight away, there it is, trans. There's somebody trans, and they're oppressed, and they give speeches about how evil everyone is to trans people. And then the LGBTQ, and they're going to all go on the LGBTQ march. And oh, fuck, they just can't help it. So again, they've propagandized the entire series. But why do it? Do they genuinely believe they'll change people's mind? Is it some sort of compulsory requirement that no supposed entertainment can be signed off on or funded unless it has heavy-handed political messaging in it that just happens to suit the globalist agenda? Maybe it's that. Now, as I look at over the last several weeks on this streaming service, it just seems one after the other has this same propaganda shot. It's just shot through with all this same propaganda. Almost it doesn't matter where the show's made. A show that's made in Norway, a show that's made in Canada, a show that's made in the United States or Australia or Britain or France or wherever. It doesn't matter. They all, the messaging is very tightly coordinated. So it's clearly centrally coordinated. You don't get that level of coordination across so many different situations unless it's been centrally coordinated. So the same as the globalists sort of allocate budgets of how many illegal aliens each country has to take or mass migrants, they allocate the propaganda that has to go through the entertainment. But again, they could get away if they just stuck to that she's a black lesbian who just happens to be employed there. No political messaging, not pushing the lesbian stuff at you. She just happens to be one, and that's kind of irrelevant because she's just an employee at that government agency or that business or whatever it might be. And but they don't. They have to hit you over the head with the political messaging, and they just can't stop, and they overload it and overreach it. And in so doing, they destroy the entertainment value. Now, if they want political messaging, do something separate. Do a political messaging a program. This is a political message about how evil you all are for not accepting black lesbians more openly. Do that, but instead they try and insert it in what otherwise would be good quality entertainment, and through that they destroy the entertainment and destroy its quality, and then complain about that people aren't watching it. For example, every time they do a woke Star Wars or something like that, people don't turn up to watch it, or a Ghostbusters or something. What's the first thing they do? They just blame it. Well, now they take a reverse view. They blame the audience, but they say, okay, well, nobody came to watch this insane, ridiculous propaganda. So that just shows not how bad our propaganda is. They take the opposite. They say that just shows how much more work we have to do and how many Nazis are out there. Swastika-waving Nazis, they're everywhere. And the proof of that is that people didn't come watch our shitty, crappy fucking show. And so they see it from that sense. So it's still an ideological battleground that's going to represent an ongoing ideological struggle. You've been a Tassus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.